Well, Vikram Sampath, you did talk about the Tughlaqs, the Lodhis, the Khiljis, the Kutubuddin Aibaks. Of course, we've read about all of them and the Delhi Sultanate. The question I want to ask, and I want to go between the past and the present throughout this interview, because the past continues to haunt us even today, and there are many present-day contextual controversies or debates that are currently on. I want to ask you, that emphasis on the Delhi Sultanate and everything revolving around Delhi definitely was part of our, historical evidence and chronicles that we've read. But do you think Delhi, even today, occupies that same position? Because everything actually emanates out of Delhi even now.
Yeah, that's true, Navika. And I think being the political capital of India and the national capital, the place where all the buzz and activity is, it normally gets more than its fair share of due, whereas large parts, the tyranny of distance that we talk of, floods in Assam or something that happens down south, these don't get featured even in the media. So the Lutyens that we talk of, I think it's a state of mind of being this small group, which is what we think is Bharat all about, whereas a country which is as vast as ours, which spans such a vast diversity and so many peoples and places. Delhi is important. I have nothing against it. I love the city. But India is not just Delhi. So I think whether it's historical narrative, whether it's our media narratives, as to what stories get attention in the media. My hometown Bangalore is in the news, in national news only when there's a flood here, or it's only for the wrong reasons. But for the success stories, or even day-to-day activities, politics, etc., that happens in this part of the country is probably never covered with as much vigor and enthusiasm as what happens in Delhi, a JNU university, and these become the narrative of India, whereas it's just one small little part of the country, such a vast country.
Do you think there are linguistic barriers that make that happen? And I want to ask you, in the context of language, you've covered personalities from different parts of India in your book, and you talk of Chand Bibi, for instance, who spoke Persian, Dakhni, Arabic, Telugu and Kannada. Today there is a debate that is raging about Hindi and the imposition of Hindi. How do you see this evolving? Do you believe there is a bid to impose any one language as a national language, or do you think this is just one of those debates that comes and goes?
Well, as someone who comes from the south of India, I do feel quite strongly about that, Navika, that, while I'm very proficient in Hindi, I studied Hindi up to class 12 out of choice, though I had a choice to pick up some other language, and it's not my mother tongue, but I'm conversant in the language. But there is a feeling in different parts of India, whether it's southern India, whether it's Bengal, whether it's eastern India, northeast, and so on, where this is not their first language of comfort. It's not the language of convenience. A lot of them feel more comfortable in English, and I think with that wisdom in mind, both English and Hindi were made the official kind of link languages. And each of the states which have been formed on linguistic basis post-independence, those languages are important. So this clamor that we hear from several Hindi speakers that Hindi is the national language is false, because we don't have a national language. We have 22 official languages, each of which is as important as the other. But at the same time, it's a great link language which can link people together. But at the same time, it should not be imposed with any sense of chauvinism. There are a lot of people who come to parts of southern India. Bangalore, for instance, has lots of people who come from different parts of the country. They would expect a local shopkeeper or a house help to talk to you in Hindi, but you will not make an attempt to learn Kannada after staying here for 20-25 years. Kannada gottilla, that is the only thing that they will learn in all those decades, and also flaunt it, as badge of honor. You go to France, you'll have to learn French to survive there. So I think there's this give and take that needs to be done between languages, not harden positions. If you're going, more the languages you know, the better it is. You can connect to more people. You get to know the richness of India, its diversity, local stories, much more in a better way. And like you said, these heroes of the past, they knew multiple languages. Velu Nachiyar, an 18th century queen whom I cover in my book, she knew Urdu. She could speak fluent Urdu with Hyder Ali of Mysore. She also went to France at the peak of the French Revolution. She knew to speak French. She'd learned English. So you can connect to a number of people. So I think it's a false debate which all the time, keeps getting imposed. That we should not learn a language. We should certainly learn as many Indian languages. But this false chauvinism that mine is more superior or there is one national language and all need to learn that only because the majority of Indians speak that, I think that leads to a lot of backlash, particularly from various parts of India, the south and the east, as I mentioned.
Vikram, I want to ask you, you talked about a few examples. And every time you talk about the country's history, you talk about it as India. Why then is the title of your book, Bravehearts of Bharat? Is there a message in the use of the word Bharat? Because Bharat normally Hindi में use होता है. आप Bravehearts of Bharat कह रहे हैं. Is there a message there?
There is a subtle message. Bharat is the civilizational identity of India. I think right from the Vishnu Purana, where Uttaram yat samudrasya himadraschaiva dakshinam varshatad bharatam nama bharati yatra santati. This landmass between the mountains and the oceans, that is called Bharat. The Varsha is called Bharata, and its Santati or children are Bharatiyas, is how our ancestors have seen this land. I have nothing against the word India. I think a lot of people are very militantly against it, saying we must use only Bharat. These are synonyms, but when we're talking civilizationally about our nation, Bharat seems to be much richer. It has a lot of history behind it, a lot of context, a lot of subtlety to it, and that's why I chose that term rather than India.
Well, Vikram,
the subtitle though is vignettes from Indian history. So India, that is Bharat, as our constitution also says. I think we shouldn't create this false battle between India and Bharat.
I don't know. I have this copy. I don't see the subtext in this unless the final print have. I have the earlier print without the cover, and it just says Bravehearts of Bharat. I mean, I don't have any problem with that because Bharat is Indianness. Bharatiyata and Indianness, they all go together. But I just wanted to understand the author's message in this. Vikram Sampath, I also want to ask you, you chronicle the achievements of the Chola dynasty. Also because there is a recent film that has come on this particular part of our history, Ponniyin Selvan 1, that has recently been released. You also talk about the contributions, including building of great temples by this dynasty around Tanjavur, in and around Tanjavur, and their contributions to that kind of deep rooting of the Hindu religion. But at the same time, Kamal Haasan, somebody who's well known and in politics and as an actor, he said that Hinduism did not even exist then. What do you make of a comment like that?
Well, I think it's a bogus controversy which I think should have just been ignored. It was not worth the discussion at all because, to say that the Cholas were not Hindus, I mean, Hinduism is a vast, ocean. The Sanatana Dharma, as it was always called, had different streams. And the main streams, the Shaiva, the Vaishnava, the Shaura, the Surya related, the Shakta, Vainayaka, Kaumaram, of Ganesha and Kartikeya. If you see the Chola history all through, they've appeased all these different branches. Of course, they were primarily Shiva Bhaktas belonging to the Shaivite tradition. They considered Vishnu or Tiruman, as they called them, as the originator of their family. And later on also called themselves Suryavanshis, belonging to the Surya clan. They claimed Lord Rama is one of their ancestors. Nishumbha Sudini, a form of Durga, was their family deity, a family goddess. So the Shakta tradition was also there. They built numerous temples for Muruga, Kartikeya in southern India. The motifs of Ganpati are very much rife in Chola temples, Chola, art, architecture, all of that. So, and Rajaraja Chola and Rajendra Chola, they gave equal emphasis to both Tamil as well as Sanskrit, verses. Wages were given to people who chanted verses in both these languages, and they've left behind a huge corpus of material in inscriptions, in coins, in palm leaf manuscripts, and we see all of these things there that they performed yajnas, they gave danas. All of these are part of the Hindu tradition. So I think to say that they were not Hindu, I think my good friend who's on your channel several times, Anand Ranganathan, very correctly pointed out that before oxygen was invented, what were we breathing? You say everything happens only after the Englishman comes and names us. Tamil Nadu, that way, is a term that came only in the 1969, 1970. But was there no Tamil land before that? There was a Tamil culture. So whatever be the name, that they all belonged to these different panthas, matas within the Sanatan Dharma, makes it immaterial whether you call them Hindu or whatever, but they belong to the same tradition that today is popularly called as Hinduism. That way, Jesus Christ, if you ask him, are you a Christian? He'll probably say, I don't understand what you're talking about. So that way, going on name splitting, hair splitting on names, I think is a little puerile. And as I said, it should have just been dismissed with the contempt that it deserved.
Well,